Welcome to the Hiring and Empowering Solutions podcast. This podcast is dedicated to providing the key ingredients to transform your employees into a dream team, creating consistent results in every aspect of your business, including your people, your process, and your profits. Your team empowerment, leadership, business development, communication, hiring, and firing. As some of the country's leading staffing and management consultants, we help business owners, i.e. entrepreneurs, and the team that support them, what we call intrapreneurs, to powerfully connect and work together to grow the business. We are so excited for today's episode. This is Molly McGrath, and I am delighted to deliver today's episode on 4 simple strategies to teach your employees how to communicate what they do all day. If you're an employee and you're listening to this, please do not shut down. This is not just for the entrepreneur or for the attorney. It is equally an amazing episode that is available for you as well. We get phone calls from team as well as entrepreneurs at least 20 times a week that bring up the subject of, I really don't know what he or she does all day. And okay, let's be honest, many of you have silently screamed this to yourself. I have no idea what they do all day about one of your employees, and or employees have said that about other employees, all while trying to juggle client appointments, referral meetings, internal meetings, document reviews, emergency calls from your kid's school. And like I said, I personally hear this no fewer than 20 times a week from the entrepreneurs across the map, as well as other employees calling about their coworkers, whether they're in the building and or virtual outsourced employees. And these internal commentaries are not meant to be employee critiques and or to down talk anybody. The intent is not to imply that employees are messing around on social media all day or not carrying their weight. The truth of the matter is that when a business owner has a feeling of, I don't know what he or she does all day, it is very indicative of a business that's not operating with a cohesive structure, clear job descriptions, weekly tracking and measurement metrics, KPIs, accountability, and consistent internal communication. And it's also indicative of a business owner who is trapped behind closed doors all day in back-to-back meetings, and they're painfully aware of his or her insane schedule with little hope of being able to address a growling stomach, an overloaded inbox, lack of time with team, and pressing family obligations. And I know the employees feel that as well, especially those that are in a leadership position or paralegal or paraprofessional appointment where your calendar is just jam-packed every single day. And if you're the attorney or you're the employee and you have that sinking feeling about any of your team members, chances are it's not the person who's the issue, but rather a training and or communication or expectations or clarity issue. And fortunately, that's the good news, because that's a very, very easy fix from our perspective. With the right training and development, you really can find out in 30 days, and you can know if it's actually a case of the wrong person in the wrong role, if it's the wrong person on the bus entirely, and how to course correct that. It will tell you where you are missing the mark and or you have gaping holes in your people onboarding process, job descriptions, expectations, accountability, things of that nature, or within your process. So in our perspective, it's typically a people, process, or profit issue. And so it'll tell you your people. You'll be able to tell very, very quickly when you implement some of the 4 strategies that we're going to talk about here today. And so it'll tell you exactly what areas in regards to your people, job descriptions, etc. And then your process, it will be glaring in a spotlight. And then your profit. And what do we mean by profit? And we use that terminology because that typically will keep the entrepreneur engaged in the conversation. And when we talk about profit, we're talking about tracking of your calendar, making certain that we have the right ingredients and the right formula for the number of meetings that we need to have each and every week, each and every month, and able to meet our goals. So let's talk today about what you can put in place to figure out in 30 days what he or she does, and being able to communicate that with everybody on the team. So if you're asking this question as an employee about other employees and or coworkers, or an entrepreneur wondering about employees, either way, we'll get clarity on that. Because honestly, we hear this from employees just as well. For some attorneys that are not very, very busy, and or attorneys that have replaced themselves, thankfully, in their law firm, and they don't have to be the technician. They're able to be the visionary. They are able to be the innovator, be able to go out there and generate revenue and opportunities for the business. But when a team sees that somebody, an attorney, an entrepreneur, doesn't come in all day, or they're quote unquote on the golf course, or I have no idea where they're at or what they're doing, it just causes this low level anxiety. So this question comes from all fronts. And we're lobbying very, very hard for you to have a methodology to eradicate that question from ever coming up again in your building, number one. And then number two, being able to communicate this on a consistent weekly basis from all vantage points, because it does ebb and flow, and it does shift and changed as you evolve and you have controlled growth within your business. So from our perspective, we believe that here's 4 different strategies for you to be able to eliminate this question from your building. So number 1, the first strategy that we highly recommend is that you begin to implement a weekly stakeholders meeting that is operated with a consistent agenda that is every single week. And then it's not ran by the entrepreneur or the attorney, but it's ran by a key team member that you're going to designate. We have many blogs about this on our website. So you can just Google search stakeholders meeting agenda, or you can always go to our contact page and send us an email, and we will gladly send you not only the agenda, but also a recording in a mock trial of how to facilitate that meeting. It's a phenomenal 1-hour live training that Lainey and I did, where we were going back and forth. I played the role of the entrepreneur. She played the role of the employee. And we just went back and forth with the agenda up on the screen and showed you how to efficiently and effectively run that meeting. We used to call it a team meeting a while back, but we found that people were treating that like a cheerleading session or a coffee clutch, and they weren't running it like a stakeholders or board of directors meeting. So when you begin to implement that, you will quickly see so much in your business change. Expectations, clarity on job descriptions, what people's top 3 goals are for the week, what the next actions are. You go through the State of the Union of your calendar and for the entire month. So that will really indicate in regards to what's going on with revenue and profit for you as well. So that's step number 1. That's strategy number 1 that we highly recommend that you begin implementing immediately. There's no excuse. All you have to do is put the time on your calendar, same place, same time each week, very much like a locker room huddle before going out on the Super Bowl playing field. You would treat it very much like that. So our recommendation is you start your week with that before you start getting hit with everything that we do on Monday morning with emails, phone calls, client emergencies, etc. Number 2, the daily snapshot report. This is the favorite tool from both really from the employee side as well as the entrepreneur side that we hear when people begin to implement this. And again, you can get this off our website or you can send us an email, whatever is easiest for you. We'd be more than happy to share this with you. Again, we also have a 1-hour recording that goes with this. The daily snapshot report in essence is a report that the employee uses. They send it to their entrepreneur at the end of the day, typically via email. Some people want to print it out and put on their desk or the area where they have their stack of items that they take home for the evening, what have you. Discern what your best method of delivery of this report is. But this report is for the employees to really just give the State of the Union and just the headlines of everything that was accomplished. It's completely laid out in alignment with the goals, with the calendars, with next actions, and also for some surprises that came up during the day. So the attorney can see what occurred when they were in back-to-back meetings, and it gives them the confidence of, number one, all the different areas of the business are being addressed and handled and running on all cylinders while they are in the back-to-back meetings in the conference room or out in the community delivering presentations, etc. It also gives them the opportunity for the employee. This is my favorite part. The surprise for a lot of employees is to have so much confidence. It really puts a tremendous amount of gas in the tank for what they accomplish before they leave and get in their vehicle and leave for the day. A lot of times we feel like we're just getting slammed all day long and we never, quote unquote, get our work done. But this report really highlights all the things that you're not only able to accomplish that you had planned on. And no, maybe you're not going to finish all 10 things that were on your list for the day, but you were able to complete 7 of them. And in addition, there were 3 other amazing opportunities that came in throughout the day that we didn't expect, that you were able to collect a check, book a speaking engagement, whatever it might be. And you also put on there what your plan is for the next day. So you can say, didn't get to 3 of my 10, but I already have time built out in my calendar. So-and-so is going to help me and we're going to crush it and we're going to get it done. So it's such a win-win for the entrepreneur as well as the employee. So that's strategy number 2 that we highly recommend that you start implementing. And immediately, that one right there will tell you exactly what they're doing all day. And I need to say this isn't from a place of micromanagement. It's not from a place of lack of trust or the attorney or entrepreneur always wanting to be in control and stay in control. Those are some of the common terms and language that we hear. And it couldn't be further from the truth because honestly, it has nothing to do with trust or control or anything of that nature. Trust us, the entrepreneur, when they leave for the day, they feel awful that they didn't have any time to spend with you, that they're afraid that you're just on this lone island and dying and drowning and they don't know about it. And they're afraid that you're gonna get overwhelmed. You're going to get burned out. These are terms we hear from attorneys every day. I don't want to burn my employees out. I don't have time to talk to them. And I'm afraid, 2-3 days go by that I'm able to connect with them. I see the calendar. I see the workload. I hear the phone ringing. And it causes me anxiety that I'm not able to check in and connect with them to make sure they're okay. So this gives them an opportunity to see where your temperature is at, to get that, know where the barometer is. If they look at, all it takes is to look at 2 or 3 days of these daily snapshot reports. And we hear this so often where they're like, okay, time out. we need some time on the calendar because there's no way humanly possible that you could be doing all this. Or I see the past 3 days, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and I don't know why you're doing it. And Susie really should be doing that. So can you get some time on my calendar for us to be able to look at this and doing a complete analysis of this and to figure out what's going on? That is amazing strategic byproduct that comes out of that. So it's not from a place of lack of trust and micromanagement. And the sneaky part for you employees who are listening is that this is an enormous benefit for you to be able to see where you are overworked, overload, you are carrying the ball for other people. That's one thing that I see all the time. Why are you doing this? I see this on your daily snapshot report, and I see it on Susie's too. So both of you are doing it, and that's highly ineffective and inefficient. So that is strategy number 2, the daily snapshot report. Strategy number 3 is for you to go to our website, Hiring and Empowering Solutions, and download the 66-day law firm turnaround. I would love it if both the employee and the entrepreneur download it at the same time. It's a PDF book that you're able to get immediate, easy access to. And this is a book that will take you through a 10-week strategy, 10-week process, the 66-day law firm turnaround, to be able to implement and to turn around everything in regards to your people, your process, and your profit. So if you begin to download that and treat it like a book club, many firms, what they will do is work on one a week, and then they'll talk about it in their weekly stakeholders meeting. So things around time management, project management, calendar management, money management, job descriptions, things of that nature, employee reviews, putting those into place. And you could very, very easily, in bite-sized pieces, be able to implement these so it doesn't become like this overwhelming project where you have to shut down the business for a week and work on it. And so that's called the 66-day law firm turnaround. That's strategy number 3 that we highly recommend both the employee and the entrepreneur and all employees that are in the business download. It's not an overwhelming project. Some pieces are that you're going to have to carve out time on your calendar or maybe have a separate meeting to digest and to talk about. But absolutely within 30 days, you will have a snapshot, if not sooner, for every of the State of the Union on your people, your process, and your profit. The fourth one is for you to have your entire team, if you haven't done this already, to invest the time, energy, and a tiny bit of money into taking communication and conflict resolution analysis called the Colby A Index. And the second one is called the StrengthsFinder Natural Strengths. They're 2 separate assessments, but what these assessments will do is they will give you a snapshot of how each employee is hardwired, is the Colby A analysis. I've been using that analysis for over 20 years now. And for $49, it's the best $49 you will ever spend. We actually talk about this in depth in the 66-day law firm turnaround book, but it will tell you the hardwiring, the mode of operation for each one of your employees on how they like to give information, how they like to receive information, in addition to how they like to be trained and onboard. And the fourth piece of it is it also will give you exactly how to put where they belong in the firm, how they're hardwired, and what seat on the bus they should be sitting in. It identifies their strengths of each person on your team and determines how to establish consistent, effective communication that ensures that you never have that rotten feeling again of what they do, or they're not moving fast enough, or they're just not getting what you're explaining to them, etc. That's a Colby A. It really is just takes this snapshot and it does an analysis of their hardwiring. This StrengthsFinder Natural Strengths is a personality side of it. Colby is not a personality test. So Colby, I took my first Colby, 20 some years ago, and then took it again, I think about 2 years ago. And I was absolutely convinced that it had changed, and it did not change one bit. But your personality, so the StrengthsFinder, many people are probably familiar with Myers-Briggs, etc. This is a Reader's Digest to that. It's not as comprehensive to understand, or to be able to take into to understand it and to do analysis of it. I like this one because it's $19, number one. Number two, you do not need to hire an expert to get the personality traits of each person. And I love this to match us with the Colby A, because for many, many years, we were just using the Colby A. And we would get phone calls from attorneys and team alike saying, I just don't get it. We have the exact same Colby, or he or she has the exact same Colby, but they're polar opposites. They operate very, very differently in regards to how they show up in the firm. Their work styles and how they take action when it comes time for fight, flight, or freeze is very, very similar. But their in-depth of their expression and how they communicate and how they show up is different. So I think this Colby's wrong. And we started doing some digging, and that's when we came in contact with Gallup, as a company that runs the StrengthsFinder, and there's books written on it. It's a phenomenal tool to measure the personality side. So we like to couple that. So, and then it gave a tremendous amount of insight to everyone in regards to how two people with the same Colbys could show up and operate very, very differently. So that is strategy number 4. One other bonus thing I'm going to add here, next week's podcast that we are launching is called 9 Ways to Support Your Attorney and What's in It for the Employee to do so. I'd highly recommend as bonus points that you listen to that and put that on your calendar for next Tuesday to download, and just alert your team to have them do that as well. If you're registered on our blog, and we send that out automatically, so you might want to have your team get added to our blog, and they'll immediately get that delivered in their inbox as well. So hopefully the next time you find yourself asking, what does he or she do all day, whether you're on the employee side or you're on the entrepreneur side, that you will come back to this podcast as a resource. If you do not have the 4 strategies implemented, which I hope is not your case. But when you find yourself at that place, come back here, because we hear that all the time. People say, no, we're doing it. We've been doing it all day long. And 10 out of 10 times when people call us and they contact us to help us assess their firm's internal culture and see where they need to make some changes to eliminate that question from their daily ponderings. We find the number one thing that is missing is a weekly stakeholders meeting. And then when that gets out of place and we start, it was holidays and then people have vacations. And then if everybody can't be at that meeting, then we start to see that people start, especially the boss or the entrepreneur or the attorney, we start missing it. Week 1, week 2, week 3. And then next thing you know, it doesn't become an exception. It's the norm. So my drive-by coaching for you all is when you implement these 4 strategies, and by and large, what becomes part of your hardwiring of your firm and your culture and your weekly time template, it has to be your weekly stakeholders meeting, the team operating from a place of a daily snapshot report, And then going back to that 66-day law firm turnaround, don't put it on the shelf after you go through it the first time. It's something that I would recommend that you put on your calendar to revisit. Maybe a lot of people will do it at the end of the year and do it as a year-end sprint or something of that nature. Team, do not put your attorneys, your bosses, in a place where they have to drive all this. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, but you don't have your team member sitting here with you today listening to it, forward this to them, because this shouldn't be dependent on you. You should be paying attention to your top 4 revenue producing activities that only you can do as an entrepreneur. Delegate this to your team. Empower your team to want to get this implemented, because they are secretly dying for this as well. And this benefits them tremendously in regards to communication and clarity around what their role is and what you want for them as their top goals for the week. So team, do not put your attorney or your entrepreneur in a compromising position where they have to ask, where's your daily snapshot report? I haven't received that for a day, or I haven't received that for a week. And then you get all grouchy and give them 47 reasons about the phone's ringing and blah, blah, blah happened and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Don't put them in that position. If you want to instill confidence and you want to be able to plan your work and work your plan, and you want opportunities for advancement and growth, this is a way to instill confidence. Number one, that you have the ability to drive and lead. And then number 2, to be able to shine that flashlight on the areas where, oh, hey, you are overworked and overload. I'd really like to see you move into this role, make an intern, legal assistant, whatever it might be. And or it shows you the areas where additional training might be available, additional coaching for you. So there is so much benefit and available for you as a team member if you take the reins and you truly step up and lead with these things, making certain that we honor and hold sacred for our weekly stakeholders meeting, that we absolutely, I will take the initiative to send you that daily snapshot report at the end of the week. And if you, or every day, and if there's a couple days or a week that go by and the attorney comes to you and asks you about it, that you're not going to react, but you'll respond and course correct around that. So hopefully this was a very beneficial podcast for you today. I can tell you firsthand, when we wrote a blog around this topic a couple of years ago, and then we've revised it and republished it probably about once a year, I can't tell you how many phone calls we get from people saying how simplistic yet transformative and impactful and powerful these 4 very, very simple steps are. And it's such an easy fix. It really just requires you to power down and to implement. So we look forward to hearing from you. Please drop us comments, contact us, and let us know how you're doing with all this. We can't wait to release next week the 9 ways to have your attorneys back.